Everything was normal on Earth, or so it seemed. People went about their daily lives, unaware of the storm that was about to hit. Then, on an ordinary day, the skies changed. Dark clouds swirled above every major city. The sun was blotted out, and strange, massive shadows loomed overhead. The Earth had never seen anything like it before. A fleet of enormous alien ships had entered Earth's atmosphere. They were unlike anything humanity had ever imagined, sleek, dark, and unlike any technology humans had ever seen. They were here, and they were not asking for permission. They came with a single message for Earth's leaders: surrender or face total destruction. The aliens, calling themselves the Exarathians, were an advanced species who had traveled across the galaxy, conquering worlds one by one. At first, people thought it was a trick, a test of some sort. How could something like this be real? Some believed the alien ships were simply a grand illusion, a stunt. Governments scrambled to respond, debating if they should even bother fighting back. After all, what could they do against something so powerful? But then, the Exarathians showed their true power. Across the globe, alien ships began to lower themselves, descending over cities like great iron clouds. They unleashed a terrifying barrage of energy, unlike anything the world had ever witnessed. Tall skyscrapers were reduced to rubble in an instant. People screamed as the sound of explosions filled the air. The military responded, launching fighter jets and missiles toward the ships, but the Exarathians made quick work of them. Their ships moved with incredible speed, dodging every attack and returning fire with overwhelming force. Military bases fell one after another, and human soldiers had no chance. Tanks, fighter jets, and warships were obliterated before they could even get close. In the span of a few hours, the world had turned from peace to chaos. Governments, already in a state of panic, faced an impossible decision. What could they do? The Exarathians were too advanced. The weapons they carried were not from Earth. No one could even comprehend the science behind them. Cities across the world fell under alien occupation, one by one. The aliens began setting up bases in major cities, as though preparing for a full occupation. Some world leaders, seeing no chance of survival, began to talk about surrender. After all, there was no way to win. Perhaps survival was better than resisting. The Exarathians promised peace if humanity would simply submit. Those who believed in fighting on began to question their resolve. How could they fight against a force so powerful? Fear spread. Panic set in. Across the world, some nations declared that resistance was futile and began preparing to meet the alien demands. Others, however, stood firm, declaring they would never give up. But even their leaders knew the truth. Earth was in grave danger. As entire countries fell under the shadow of the alien ships. Dr. Lena Carter, a scientist with a reputation for unconventional research, was digging deep into the Earth's history. She had spent years studying strange phenomena and ancient artifacts, hoping to unlock the secrets of human evolution. One day, while conducting an excavation in an old, remote part of the world, Dr. Carter made a discovery that would change everything. Deep beneath the surface, buried under layers of rock and forgotten time, Dr. Carter uncovered a strange, glowing artifact. It was unlike anything she had ever seen. It was an object of great power, pulsing with energy that seemed to call to her. As she held it in her hands, she felt something stir within her, a sense of connection, a feeling of deep understanding. She wasn't sure what it meant yet, but the energy radiating from the artifact was unmistakable. Could this artifact be the key to saving Earth? Dr. Carter wasn't sure, but she knew she had to find out. She spent the next few days studying the object, and as she did, she began to piece together something remarkable. The artifact wasn't just an ancient relic, it was connected to something far more important, something buried deep in the human genome. The power it contained could unlock abilities humanity never knew they had. It was clear now, there was hope. Dr. Carter's discovery was a small spark in the growing darkness of Earth's hopelessness. She shared her findings with a select group of military leaders and scientists, explaining that the artifact could be the key to unlocking humanity's hidden potential. But the world was in chaos, and time was running out. Could they find a way to use the artifact before it was too late? As the Exarathians' forces tightened their grip on Earth, it seemed like the clock was ticking. Humanity was on the brink of annihilation, with only a few standing between total submission and an uncertain future. The world held its breath. Cliffhanger as Dr. Carter stared at the glowing artifact. A strange thought crossed her mind. What if this was only the beginning? What if the key to humanity's survival wasn't just about fighting back, but something deeper? Something hidden in the very core of human existence, waiting to be awakened? The answers lay somewhere in the artifact, and the fate of Earth might just depend on unlocking its full power. Dr. Lena Carter's discovery had changed everything. The glowing artifact she found beneath the Earth's surface was more than just a relic of the past. It held a secret one that would awaken powers within humanity that had been lying dormant for centuries. Powers no one had known existed. As she studied the artifact more, Dr. Carter began to realize something astounding. Humanity had always had the potential for greatness, but it had been hidden deep inside their DNA, waiting for the right moment to be unlocked. She worked day and night, analyzing the artifact, using all her scientific knowledge to understand how it could activate these hidden abilities. The artifact was connected to an ancient force, something that had been left behind by an earlier civilization and advanced race that had seeded the Earth long before modern humans even walked the planet. That civilization had embedded the potential for power deep inside the human genome, but no one had ever known how to access it. But now, the time had come. The Exarathian invasion had forced humanity into a corner, and in that moment of desperation, the key to unlocking humanity's true potential had been found. Dr. Carter began working with a team of military leaders and scientists. They were cautious at first, unsure if this new power would be enough to turn the tide against the aliens. But the more they experimented with the artifact, the clearer it became these powers weren't just something from fantasy. They were real. The first breakthrough came when a soldier, who had volunteered to undergo testing, suddenly felt an intense surge of energy course through his body. His muscles expanded, his senses sharpened, and his strength increased dramatically. He was able to lift objects that had been impossible just moments before. But that wasn't all. He began to experience bursts of speed, so fast he could barely keep up with himself. The next phase of testing revealed even more astonishing results. A scientist working with the artifact began to experience strange sensations in his mind. He could hear thoughts, other people's thoughts. He could communicate without speaking. It was telepathy. And soon, other humans exposed to the artifact began to display similar abilities. Some could manipulate energy, shooting blasts of raw power from their hands, while others could move objects with their minds. These abilities were not the stuff of legends, they were real, and they were now awakening in the human race. First, these powers were unpredictable. The human volunteers were still learning how to control them. But as the weeks went on, the humans began to master their new abilities. They trained in secret, perfecting their skills in hidden bunkers and underground labs away from the aliens' prying eyes. The Exarathians, still believing humanity to be weak and helpless, didn't know what was coming. The human military, once on the brink of collapse, was now preparing for something entirely new, a rebellion. Ordinary people, once defenseless, were becoming warriors. They were ready to take back their world. And so, the first wave of attacks against the Exarathians began. Small but well-coordinated teams of humans, now armed with their newfound abilities, launched surprise attacks on alien outposts. They used their enhanced speed, strength, and energy manipulation to strike fast and hard. The aliens, who had once thought humans incapable of even putting up a fight, were now facing an enemy that was stronger, faster, and more unpredictable than they had ever imagined. The battles were intense. Humans, using their powers, fought with everything they had. One group of fighters, using their enhanced strength and speed, infiltrated an alien base in the middle of the night. They fought their way through alien soldiers, taking them down with sheer force and precision. Another group, able to manipulate energy, destroyed a crucial power station that the aliens had been using to maintain their hold on a major city. These were no longer isolated, desperate attacks. They were calculated, organized strikes, and they were making a difference. The Exarathians started to take notice. For the first time, They realized that the humans they had so easily underestimated were starting to fight back in ways they never thought possible. Commander Zorath, the leader of the Exarathians, felt an unusual shift in the air. His spies reported strange energy readings coming from Earth, an energy they couldn't identify. There was something about the humans now that felt different. It was as though the planet itself was alive with power. Commander Zorath's first reaction was disbelief. How could this be happening? The Exarathians had defeated far more advanced civilizations than Earth. The humans were supposed to be weak, fragile creatures, unable to resist. And yet, there was something in the air, something he couldn't quite understand. He ordered his forces to increase patrols to find out what was going on. But as the days passed, the reports only became more confusing. Human fighters were stronger, faster, and more resourceful than ever before. The aliens were beginning to suffer losses. The humans had changed, and the Exarathians were no longer sure they could win this war. On the front lines, human soldiers were emboldened. They felt the surge of power within them, pushing them forward. They fought not just for survival anymore. They fought for a future, for their children, for their planet. Each victory brought them closer to their ultimate goal, driving the Exarathians from Earth forever. As the first wave of attacks succeeded, the aliens realized that the tide was turning. The balance of power was shifting. Commander Zorath, now fully aware that the humans were no longer helpless, made a decision. He would have to do everything in his power to crush this newfound resistance before it was too late. But as Zorath's forces prepared for an even more aggressive campaign, Dr. Lena Carter and her team were already planning their next move. The battle was far from over, and humanity's true power had only just begun to reveal itself. Cliffhanger. With each victory, the humans grew stronger. Commander Zorath, more and more uncertain of his victory, felt an unease growing in the pit of his stomach. What had the humans become? What other secrets lay hidden within their newfound powers? And could the Exarathians survive the wrath of a planet that was now fully awake? Humanity had changed. What began as small, scattered acts of resistance had grown into something unstoppable. The newly awakened powers that had once seemed like an accident were now humanity's greatest weapon. The aliens, who thought they could easily crush Earth, were now facing an uprising, unlike anything they had ever encountered. Across the world, people who had once feared their invaders began to fight back with everything they had. From the largest cities to the smallest towns, every human who had discovered their powers joined the fight. The world's governments, once divided by politics and old rivalries, put aside their differences. They realized that survival depended on unity. No one could stand alone. They needed each other to win. Dr. Lena Carter's discovery had sparked a global movement. The powers awakened in humans had changed everything. Ordinary civilians, now stronger and faster than they had ever dreamed possible, joined the military or formed their own resistance groups. These humans weren't just fighting for survival anymore. They were fighting for the future of Earth. They weren't going to let it be destroyed without a fight. The first major success came when a group of empowered soldiers and civilians, armed with the skills to control their new powers, launched a series of surprise attacks on alien bases around the world. The aliens, once so confident in their superiority, were now on the defensive. Human soldiers, using their enhanced strength and speed, took down massive alien ships. With their energy manipulation abilities, they disabled the alien power grids and destroyed key installations. The Exarathians had underestimated humanity, and now they were paying the price. Every victory brought humanity closer to pushing the Exarathians off Earth. The aliens began to feel the pressure. They had expected the humans to fall into submission, to kneel before them like so many other species they had conquered. But the Exarathians had failed to understand one thing about humanity: its unbreakable spirit. The more the aliens tried to crush Earth's will, the stronger it became. The humans' powers grew with each battle, fueled by desperation, by anger, and by the will to survive. It wasn't just the soldiers who were fighting back. Everyday people, from doctors to teachers, from farmers to factory workers, had joined the fight. They used their new abilities to strike at alien supply lines, disrupt communications, and sabotage ships. The Exarathians, once so confident in their ability to rule Earth, were starting to lose their grip. Every corner of the planet seemed to be aflame with resistance. The aliens couldn't keep up with the pace of human retaliation. In every major city, human-powered forces began to reclaim the streets. Even the skies were no longer safe for the Exarathians. With newly awakened powers, humans had adapted their technology to fight back. Fighter jets, now piloted by empowered humans, soared into the air, taking down alien ships. The tide of the war was slowly shifting. The aliens, who had once seen Earth as an easy target, now found themselves on the defensive. But the humans weren't satisfied with just reclaiming their cities. They had a much bolder plan. Dr. Carter and her team, along with military strategists, began developing a mission that could end the invasion for good: infiltrate the alien mothership. The mothership was the heart of the invasion, controlling everything from the alien fleet to the ground forces. If it were destroyed, the invasion would collapse. But this was no easy task. The mothership was heavily guarded, with the strongest Exarathian forces protecting it. It was the most dangerous place on Earth, and anyone who tried to infiltrate it would be risking their life. The mission was set. A group of the most powerful humans, including those who had mastered energy control, telepathy, and superhuman strength, would infiltrate the mothership. They would work together to destroy it from within. It was their final chance to end the invasion and save Earth once and for all. The team, prepared for the toughest battle of their lives, approached the mothership. The plan was simple: infiltrate, destroy the core, and escape. But nothing ever goes as planned, especially not when facing an enemy as powerful as the Exarathians. As the humans neared the mothership, they were struck by an unexpected and terrifying discovery. Deep inside the ship, something ancient began to stir. A presence far more powerful than anything the humans had encountered before awakened within the ship. The Exarathians had always believed they were the dominant force in the universe, but they had hidden a terrible secret. An ancient, powerful being, one that had been dormant for eons, was now awakening inside the mothership. This being was older than the Exarathians themselves and was far more dangerous than anything the humans had ever faced. The humans, unaware of this new threat, continued their approach. But as they got closer, the air seemed to vibrate with an unsettling energy. The temperature dropped. The very walls of the mothership seemed to hum with an unnatural force. The team felt the shift in the atmosphere. Something was coming, and it wasn't the Exarathians. Cliffhanger. Just as the team prepared to enter the heart of the mothership, the ground shook. The walls cracked open, revealing a dark, shadowy figure emerging from the depths of the ship. It was ancient, terrifying, and more powerful than anything they could have imagined. The humans were about to face something far worse than the Exarathians, and it was coming for them. The battle had reached its peak. For months, Earth had been under siege, its cities torn apart by the powerful Exarathians. But in the last few weeks, everything had changed. Humanity, once desperate and helpless, had risen from the ashes. They were no longer a scattered resistance. They were a united force, empowered by the strange artifact that had unlocked their true potential. Now the final showdown loomed. Earth's fate hung in the balance, and humanity was ready to fight like never before. The humans had come a long way since that first terrifying day when the Exarathians had arrived. Ordinary people had become warriors, wielding unimaginable power. Soldiers, civilians, scientists together, they had pushed the invaders back. They had taken down massive ships, destroyed alien strongholds, and fought with a kind of strength and unity that the Exarathians had never expected. The Exarathians themselves, once so confident in their superiority, were now fighting for their lives. But they had one final secret, something ancient, something terrifying, hidden within the mothership. As the humans prepared for the last assault on the mothership, they had no idea what awaited them. They were ready to face the Exarathians, but not what would come from the depths of the ship. Deep within the heart of the mothership, an ancient alien force was awakening. It was known as the Etherian, an entity older than the Exarathians themselves. The Etherian had been lying dormant, waiting for the right moment to rise. Now, that moment had come. The Etherian emerged from the ship's core, its form both terrifying and magnificent. It was a being of pure energy, shifting between shapes, as if it were part of the very fabric of space itself. Its presence sent waves of fear through the remaining Exarathian soldiers, who knelt before it as though they were nothing. But for the humans, it was more than just a monster. It was a challenge, a force they had to face head-on to save their planet. Asa the Etherian spoke. Its voice echoed through the ship's halls, a deep, mocking tone that reverberated in the minds of the human fighters. You think you can defeat the Exarathians? You are nothing more than children playing in the shadows of giants. I have watched civilizations rise and fall for millennia. You will fall just like all the others. But humanity wasn't afraid. They had come too far. They had already faced defeat, only to rise again. They had learned to fight back, to adapt and survive. They had unlocked the very powers that had been hidden within them for eons. This was their moment. This was the final test. The humans, united as never before, charged forward. They fought with everything they had. Soldiers used their enhanced strength to charge through enemy lines, while others manipulated energy to take down alien weapons. The Etherian watched, amused at first, as the humans attacked in waves, their powers crackling through the air. But it soon realized that these humans were unlike anything it had ever faced. They were relentless. They refused to back down. The battle was brutal. The humans fought with a fury that was born from the deepest corners of their hearts. They fought for their families, for their children, for the earth they had known and loved. The Etherian, no matter how powerful, couldn't break their will. Many fell, but they kept pushing forward, knowing that their survival depended on it. In the heat of the battle, Dr. Lena Carter and her team, who had been studying the artifact, realized something incredible. The artifact wasn't just a tool to unlock human powers. It was a conduit to something even greater, the very energy of Earth itself. It was time to use the artifact to its fullest potential. The humans had learned to tap into their own powers, but now they needed to harness the Earth energy to defeat the Etherian. With a team of the most powerful humans by her side, Dr. Carter activated the artifact. The ground beneath them began to tremble as energy surged through the air. The humans felt the power of the planet itself coursing through their bodies. It was as though the Earth was fighting alongside them, lending its strength to the final push. With one final combined effort, the humans launched everything they had at the Etherian. The energy from the artifact converged into a beam of pure power, aimed directly at the heart of the Etherian's form. The being screamed in defiance as the energy enveloped it. With a deafening explosion, the Etherian was destroyed. The shockwaves from the blast tore through the mothership. Its walls cracked and crumbled as the ship began to collapse in on itself. The remaining Exarathians, seeing their leader and their last hope destroyed, fled in panic. The humans had won. The battle was over. As the dust settled, the skies above Earth cleared. The alien ships, scattered and broken, began to retreat. The war was over. Earth was free. Humanity stood victorious, not because they had superior technology or weapons, but because they had something the Exarathians never understood: the unbreakable will to survive. They had been underestimated at every turn, and now the galaxy knew one thing for sure: never mess with Earth. Finale, in the aftermath of the battle, the world began to heal. Cities were rebuilt, and humanity's new powers were used to restore what had been lost. The people of Earth had proven that no matter how impossible the odds, they would never give up. They were stronger than any alien force, and they would always fight to protect their home. The story of Earth's victory would be told across the stars, a reminder that there is no force in the universe stronger than the spirit of humanity.